It's there. Being class. Good morning, everyone. So as we are reading on page number 68, still kneeling, into stared at the child with a haggard frown. The whiteness meant only one thing, asphyxia pallida, and his mind unnaturally tensed, raced back to a case once he had seen in Samaritan, to the treatment that had been used. Instantly he was on his feet. Now, haggard frown is the action of the facial expression of a person, where haggard meant for worried, tense. Frown means worries were shown on the forehead. Frown means the eyebrows when we put our eyebrows high, it is frowning. So haggard, tensed face, with the tensed face, with the worried face, with the lines of tension on the forehead, he looked at the baby. Stared means looking at something continuously. The whiteness in the body of the baby. Meaning of this whiteness was asphyxia pallida, means lack of oxygen. The baby lacked oxygen and he lost life. Unnaturally, it was not natural. Raced back, ran back. His mind ran back to the solution of the problem. He recalled a case, treatment of a person that was done in Samaritan, and in that treatment, whatever was used, that he recalled. And with this, instantly, all of a sudden, he was on his feet. On his feet means he was ready to do the work. Get me hot water and cold water. He instructed the nurse. He threw out. Threw out means instructed. All of a sudden uttered, said. He said to the nurse, get me hot and cold water and basins too. Quick, quick. But doctor, faltered her eyes. She faltered her eyes on the pallid body of the child. With the confusion, with the doubt, with the tension, faltered. The lady looked at the pale, dull body, pallid body of the child and questioned, but the doctor answered, quick. With a loud voice, he answered, quick. Snatching a blanket, he laid the child upon it and began the special method of respiration. Respiration means breathing. Respiration system, breathing system. So he took the blanket and they tried to use a special method of treatment to bring life in the child. Patients arrived. Hello? Hello? Akash sir, please switch off the annotations. This is the reason the children mess this up. Hello? 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 The basins arrived and a big iron kettle. Frantically, he splashed cold water into one basin. Into the other, he mixed water as hot as his hand could bear. Now, what he did? He took the containers. First of all, the things which arrived There, those are basins. Ewer is a big jug in which cold water was there. A big iron kettle where hot water was kept frantically, quickly. He splashed. Splash means poured. Put. He poured cold water into one basin and in another. Into the other basin, he mixed water. How he mixed the water? He kept the water as hot as his hand could bear the temperature. The temperature of the water was as hot as his hand could bear. Then, like a crazy juggler is the performer of circus who shows you a performance with the help of six balls. With the help of six balls, holding one, pushing all of them and holding each one of them one by one. Juggler. So like a juggler, what he did, he hurried means quickly do something. He hurried the child between the two. Once he put the child into cold, then into hot water, then into cold water. Now plunging it into the icy, now it into steaming bath. Plunging means dipping. Once he dipped the child into hot water, then icy cold water, then in steaming water. So in this way, he put the child in hot and cold water. 15 minutes passed. 15 minutes passed. Sweat was now running into Andrew's eyes. In this way, he continued this treatment for 15 minutes. The doctor continued this treatment for 15 minutes. Now he started sweating and sweat started coming into the eyes of the doctor. And because the sweat was coming into eyes of doctor, he was unable to see. So he was blinding. The sweat was blinding him. He was unable to see. One of his sleeves hung down, dripping. So his sleeves were folded, but while he was working so quickly, his sleeve, the sleeve came down and it got wet. That this is the reason it started dripping. Drop by drop, water was coming from the shirt. This is called dripping. The shirt started dripping. His breath came panting. When you breathe comfortably, it's simple breathing. Panting means taking breath so fast. Half na jise aap kehte hain. His breath came panting, but no breath came from the lax body of the child. Now, the doctor, because of working so hard, doctor was losing his breath, but the lifeless, the still body of the child was not working. There was no breath in the child. Now, look at the condition when one has to work. Doctor was working, trying his best to bring life to the child, to keep the promise he made to the family that everything would be all right. They would be all right. So for that, for his promise, for bringing to life, the doctor was working. Very ironical situation is there in this chapter, that birth has taken place, but birth hasn't taken place. Child has come to the world, but life hasn't come to the child. Who's that? The doctor has been working. Now we are reading the next paragraph. What the next paragraph says: a desperate sense of defeat pressed on him. Desperate means hopeless. Hopeless sense of defeat. There was no hope for success now. And he was completely defeated. That feeling passed his body, passed the doctor. And a raging means increasing the anger. He was getting angry, bit angry, raising hopelessness. There was no hope. And that condition was making him somewhere annoyed. This was the condition of the doctor. Every feeling, every action of the doctor has been described here. He felt the midwife watching him in stark consternation. Now, this is the time. Till this time, he was working with his own energy, with his own enthusiasm. Now, what he felt, that the lady was also watching him. Stark means strong. Stark, S-T-A-R-K, stark means strong. Consternation means anger, alarm, awareness. She was aware of what was going on. She was angry why the doctor is still working. So that is consternation. With the stark consternation, the nurse was watching the doctor while they are pressed back against the wall. Now, condition of again. This paragraph explains you what else happened in the room. The lady was standing close to the wall, pressed back against the wall. She was stuck to the wall, and she had all time remained. This is the place where she was standing since beginning. Her hand pressed to her throat. She kept her hands on her throat so that she could not utter, she could not say something. Throat, uttering no sound. Uttering means saying nothing. Her eyes burning upon him. She was looking continuously at the doctor with a surprise look. Was the old woman. Now, who was she? She was an old woman. He remembered her longing for a grandchild. Now, again, they both come to present. So, doctor remembered. Longing means wish. L-O-N-G, long word. It means length. I agree. But its other meaning as a verb is wish. Her wish for a child. He remembered her wish for a grandchild. As great. Her wish was the same as her daughter's longing for the child. Means he remembered what she as well her daughter expected from the doctor for a child. All dashed away now. Dashed away means broken, spoiled, destroyed. Now everything was waste now. Dashed, destroyed. Futile, with no result, no outcome. Beyond any remedy. Now everything was waste, everything was destroyed because there was no life in the baby and there was no remedy, no solution for it. A doctor as well as the lady, she was in desperate condition, hopelessness. And the lady who gave birth to the baby, she was again unaware of everything because she was still anesthetic. The floor was now draggled mess. The word draggled means wet and dirty. Everything was spread there, mess, dirty. So the floor was now draggled mess, wet and dirty, stumbling over a soaping towel. The doctor was about to fall over a wet towel. Andrew almost dropped the child. He was about to drop the child, which was now, why was he in this condition? Why was he not able to hold the child well? Because the child was wet now. The child was slippery now. The child was wet and slippery. How? Now here the writer compares the child with strange white fish. He says the child was like a strange white fish, wet and slippery. For mercy's sake, doctor, whimpered the midwife, it's stillborn. With pain, the lady said this to doctor, for God's sake, for God, understand it that there is no life in the baby. This is what midwife said to the doctor. Stillborn, no life, dead. There is no life in the baby. But again, doctor did not heed her. Doctor paid no attention to the words said by the midwife. Doctor paid no attention to the word heed, paying no attention to the words of the lady. Bitten, despairing, having labored in vain for half an hour, he still persisted in one last effort. Now he was bitten. Bitten means lost everything. Failed. Bitten means failed. Despairing, hopeless. Having labored in vain, putting all the efforts in waste. Labor. All in vain means wastage of effort. Labored in vain means wastage of effort. For how much time? That time it was 15 minutes. Now it is half an hour. For half an hour, doctor was trying his best, but he could not bring life in the baby. But he did not give up. He did not give up. He did not lose his courage. He still wanted to have one more effort, persisted, tried, continued to have one more effort. He was still ready to have one more effort. Rubbing the child with a rough towel, crushing and releasing the little chest with both of his hands, trying to get breath into the limp body. This is the action when we press the chest of the patient to bring life, to bring breath in the child. This is a common thing when this is a common thing we all are trained to do if a person gets heart attack. He started pressing and releasing the chest of the baby. Try to get life into the body of the baby. And then, as by a miracle. And then what happened? It was a miracle. It was a magic. What happened? The pygmy chest, the small chest, which his hands enclosed, which his hands were holding, the small chest which his hands were holding, gave a short convulsive heave. Here the word convulsive means contraction of muscles. There was something that happened in his muscles, shaking, trembling in the body. Convulsive. Heave means long breath. There was a short convulsive heave in the body, in that small body. Then another, one more, then one more. Andrew turned giddy. Andrew turned inconstant. He became uneasy, giddy, inconstant, uneasy. And what? The sense of life springing beneath his fingers after all that unavailing striving was so exquisite, it almost made him faint. Growing. Springing means growing. Springing means growing. Unavailing. Striving means wasted efforts. Wasted efforts. Now, The sense of life. What was there under his hands? Life. He could have. He felt the the breath of the child. Now, what was in under his fingers? Life. The child was coming to life, and his wasted effort are now giving birth to the child. Wasted effort are now useful, fruitful. And that feeling was so exquisite, so wonderful that it made him, almost made him faint. He was about to be unconscious. Wonderful feeling have been explained here. When all the wasted effort, after all efforts and hopelessness, there was a ray of hope in the child. And the doctor was so happy. What he did at that time? He redoubled his efforts feverishly. He increased the quantity of his effort, and he increased the enthusiasm, courage of himself also. The child was gasping deeper and deeper. The child was breathing now deeper and deeper. A bubble of mucus, the material that remains in our nose, is called mucus. A bubble of mucus came from one tiny nostril. From the holes of his nose, there was some mucus, and it was a joyful, iridescent bubble. Iridescent means changing color, having different colors. Shiny and having different changing colors. So the doctor is saying that mucus was joyful, iridescent. Colorful bubble was there. The limbs were no longer boneless. Now the dull body of the child is getting strength. It is looking like it had bones. The head no longer lay back spinelessly. Now there was strength in the spine of the baby. The head is getting, spine is getting strength, and head is also getting strength. Very nicely, the paragraph is wonderful expression of the life coming into the body of the baby. How it started heaving, how it started taking breath, how the child has, how the mucus comes from the nose of the baby, how the bones are looking, how the bones are getting strength, how its spine, backbone is getting strength, how the color. Now the last line is the blanch skin, the pale skin. Blanch means pale, dull. The dull skin of the baby was turning pink. Now the body of the baby is turning pink. And then exquisitely came the child's cry. After everything, there was a cry of the child. With the cry, we got to know that there is life in the child. And with the cry, doctor didn't say anything. What happened? Dear Father in heaven, as we thank the God, they are Christians. So they are thanking Father in heaven. Dear Father in heaven, the nurse sobbed hysterically. The nurse was sobbing means after the crying, when we take long breath, the nurse was sobbing. Hysterically, and what she said, hysterically means getting indulged, getting engrossed in feeling. She thanked the God, it's come alive. Now here it means it has come. Understand the meaning of this sentence, Vita. It's not it is come, it means it has come. It has come alive. The birth of the child took place approximately a half an hour back, but there was no life in the child. But now it is said it has come alive. Andrew handed her the child and gave the child to the nurse, to the lady. He felt weak and dazed. Dazed means sleepy. Now, Andrew felt very weak. He was unable to manage himself. About him, the room lay in a shuddering litter. This again, after everything, the attention again goes to the room. The room was in shudder litter. Shudder means where everything was, something is laying here, something dirty is, jug is laying there, EWER, a jug is laying there, a kettle is lying there. It is, now things are explained here. Shudder litter means dirty, laying everything here and there. Blanket is lying, towel is lying, basins are lying, soiled instruments. The instruments are soiled with soil. Hypodermic syringe, his syringe were lying impaled by the point in the linoleum. Linoleum is the side covering on the wall. The syringe was lying near the wall. One knocked over, one jug was stuck and it is moving, knocked over, fall down. The kettle again fall down on its side, and a puddle of water, because the kettle fell down, so there was water on the floor upon the huddled bed, unorganized bed. Still, the condition of bed was also unorganized. Upon the huddled, unorganized bed, where everything was missed, the mother still dreamed. The condition of the bed was unorganized, unmanaged, but the lady was still dreaming. What was she dreaming? About her child. And her way quietly. She was silent. Why was she silent? Because she was still anesthetic. Anesthesia still affected her. The old woman still stood against the wall. Who is the old woman? The grandmother of the child. She was still standing near the wall, but now what is the condition of the lady? Her hands were together. Her lips moved without sound. She was praying. She kept her hands together and she was praying to the God. She was thanking the God. Mechanically, Andrew wrung out his sleeves, pulled on his jacket. Wrung out means turning down. Now quickly turned down and squeezed his sleeves because they were dripping. His sleeves were dripping. So he put his sleeves down and squeezed them. After that, he wore his jacket. And what he said, I'll fetch my bag later, nurse, that he would take his bag after some time. He went downstairs through the kitchen into the scullery. Scullery is the place where utensils are cleaned. So he went to that part of the kitchen. His lips were dry because he was thirsty that time. At the scullery, he took a long drink of water. He reached from his hat. He reached for his hat and caught what he took. He took his hat. He took his hat and coat and left the place Where he is now? He is in the street. He came out of the house. Now whom he is going to talk first? Whom he is going to meet outside? Mr. Joe, because he was still pacing on the road outside the house. So he talked to Joe Morgan, the father of the baby. Outside he found Joe standing on the pavement. Pavement means footpath, with the tensed, worried, expectant face. His face was worried and expecting something from the doctor. All right, Joe, what he said. Who said this all right? The doctor said. Said thickly, confidently. Thickly means confidently. With strong emotions, thickly. All right, Joe, both all right. It was quite light near 5 o'clock. Now the light could be seen outside the house and the time was 5 o'clock. A few miners were already in the street. The people started moving to their work. So the place where Andrew lived was a place of miners where so miners started moving for their work. The first of the night shift moving out. The people who were working, who worked at night, they were coming out, and the people who had to go for work, they were going to work. As Andrew walked with them, spent and slow. Andrew was also walking with them, spent and slow. Spent and slow means tired, and being tired, moving slowly. Spent, tired and slow. His footfalls echoing with the others under the morning sky. His footsteps were the same like other. That is the reason it is called echo, giving same sound. He kept thinking blindly, obvious to all other work he had done in blindly. I have done something. Oh God, I have done something real at last. Now he was satisfied at the corner of his heart, and he was thankful to God. He realized that he did something real at the end. So this is your chapter, birth. We have completed this chapter. If you still have any doubt, you can discuss that with me. We can discuss it. Though your doubts will, I don't think so you'll be left with any doubt, but still, if you are left with any doubt, we'll discuss them tomorrow. And the homework for the day will be, you will try to find the answers to the questions of this chapter. There are three questions. There are three questions in this chapter. So you will try to find the answers to these questions.